This happened when I was around 12. My family and I had traveled to Malaysia to visit relatives who lived in Sarawak. My family is known for their deep spiritual beliefs and rich traditions. Stories of spirits and supernatural encounters were common in our household, passed down through generations. Almost everyone in my family had a tale of an encounter, be it a whisper in the night or a shadow glimpsed from the corner of the eye. Me, being a skeptic at that age, thought these stories were just ways to scare kids into behaving. One of my uncles ran a small money transfer business, exchanging foreign currency for Malaysian ringgit. His work often took him to nearby neighboring cities like Cebu or Selangor, and I looked up to him so much that I'd tag along whenever he let me. One night, during a family dinner, my uncle mentioned he needed to meet a business partner in Cebu the following week. He asked if I wanted to come along, and of course, I jumped at the chance. A few days later, we left for Cebu. If you've never been, Cebu is beautiful. Even now, I go back just to soak in the atmosphere whenever my mom and I visit Malaysia. Anywho, most of the trip passed in a blur, as it just consisted of me following my uncle to different venues and eating as much local food as I could. But eventually, it was time to head home. The drive back started out quiet and peaceful. It was late, and after the excitement of the trip, I was drowsy. You know those car rides where you can feel the hum of the engine and the gentle sway of the car pulling you into sleep? That is exactly what happened to me as I began resting my head on the seatbelt as I slowly closed my eyes to a deep slumber. There was a sound, knocking, sharp, insistent knocks that jolted me awake. I was still in the car, but we were driving along a winding road on a mountainside, the dark trees closing in around us. I glanced at my uncle. His face was tense, and both hands were clenched on the wheel. Normally, he'd have the radio on, humming along to some tune, but now the car was dead silent. I heard the knocks again, this time from the back right window. The sound was too loud and deliberate to be pebbles or branches hitting the glass. I looked back, trying to make sense of it. But before I could fully turn, my uncle's voice cut through the air, cold and stern. Tengok depan. Look forward. I froze. He sounded different, like he was barely holding back a tremor. He told me to keep my eyes forward, to look down if I had to, but not to turn around. My stomach twisted. Confusion and fear swirled together as the knocks grew louder, moving from one window to the next, each hit sharper and more insistent, like something was trying to get in. My hands clenched the seat, my body trembling as I felt the urge to turn around, to look, but my uncle's command echoed in my head. Then, as if on cue, the knocking escalated, pounding from every window. The sound became deafening, drowning out even the rev of the engine. My chest tightened, and tears started slipping down my cheeks as the car began speeding up, the engine roaring louder, trying to outrun whatever was out there. Then, silence. In an instant, the knocking stopped. The only sound left was my uncle's shaky breath and the low rumble of the car. I don't remember much of the rest of the drive. My uncle kept talking, forcing a conversation about school or friends, anything to distract us from what had just happened. But I could see it in his eyes. Beneath his calm mask, he was just as shaken as I was. Years later, I came back to visit my hometown with my mom, and one night, my uncle finally told me the full story. He explained that the mountain road we'd driven on was known to be haunted. He admitted that while I slept, he had seen something, a flash of black in the rearview mirror, almost like a shadow darting across the back seat. And just before I woke up, he'd heard it too, a whisper from somewhere behind us. Tengok depan. It still gives me chills to this day that the warning never came from him.